All right, greetings scholars, greetings YouTube, beautiful mind here, aka Professor Pfeiffer. Let's see. So this will be our next installment for this is College Algebra 1. All right, and we're working on Chapter 3, Logic. This is the Blitzer Thinking Mathematically by Pearson, published by Pearson. So yeah, let's continue with Chapter 3. And so here we're going to be working on section 3.4, truth tables for the conditional and the biconditional. Some objectives here. 1, we like to understand the logic behind the definition of the conditional. 2, we like to construct truth tables for conditional statements. 3, we like to understand the definition of the biconditional. 4, we like to construct truth tables for biconditional statements. 5, we like to determine the truth value of a compound statement for a specific case. It's like a fairly short section. So truth tables for conditional statements. Whenever we have P implies Q, the antecedent implies the consequence. If P, then Q. A conditional statement is false only when the antecedent is true and the consequence is false. All right. So the truth table for implication is always true except true implies false. Right? True implies true. That's a natural reasoning, right? You know, intuitively would be like, oh, something true should imply something true. Counterintuitive or contrary to that would be something true implying something false. Now, what's a little bit trippy is false implies anything, like, right, is true, right? Because it's like when if you believe a lie, you believe anything. That's the way I always remember that, right? So if you believe a lie, then you'll believe anything, all right? So long story short, for the conditional is always true except true implies false. All right. Okay. So we're asked to construct a truth table for not Q implies not P. So as we mentioned in the last one, I'm a fan of the condensed version of the truth table instead of doing like column by column, you know, where you have to keep creating multiple columns. I like to just do the condensed version. I feel like it looks a lot neater. So let me introduce some graph paper. This one with the smallest lines. Okay. Okay. So it looks like we have two simple statements. So let's draw a bar here. And then we have our P versus our Q. Okay. Since we have two simple statements, that means we need 2 to the power of 2 rows, which is we need a total of 4 rows. So I'm just going to copy this and paste. Then paste again. Paste and one more. Paste. Okay. So let's copy and paste. I guess I only needed one, but that's okay. Okay, that looks good. So then if we're constructing the truth table, give me just a moment. Okay. So because we have 4 rows, that first column, we do half and half, right? So half true, half false. So we're going to go true, true, and then false, false. So, and then since that went by 2s, the next column is going to go by half of that, which is going to go by 1. So we're going to go true, false, okay? So let's get a copy of this compound statement. We have not Q implies not P, right? So this is a conditional statement. The most dominant symbol is the conditional. So that means, long story short, what that means is that we're going to do our not first, okay? So we can do that not Q first. Let's put a bar here. Copy and paste. And we can separate it like that, okay? So again, this is our column 1. This is our column 2. So let's do not Q first. So that's going to be our column 3. So not Q is going to be the opposite of Q. So then that's going to be false, true, false, true. Okay. And then let's go ahead and do our not P. So that's the opposite of P. So that's going to be false, false, true, true. And then our final column, which is the implication. Implication is always true except true implies false. So false implies anything is true. True implies false. That's the only false case. False implies anything is true. True implies true is true. Okay. And this is our final column. Okay, so we got true, false, true, true. Let me get rid of this graph paper. All right, and again, we based our columns on the symbols. All right, so the position of the column was based on where the symbol was located. I just lined up the true values under each symbol, each connective. Okay, and you see their final column is true, false, true, true, the same thing that we got. So more in the conditional statement. You can reverse and negate antecedent and consequence, and the statement's truth value will not change. If you're cool, you won't wear clothing with your school name on it. If you're wearing clothing with your school name on it, you're not cool. Okay. If the fashion tip above is true, then so is this, and if this is false, then this is false as well. Let me see. Oh, reverse and negate the antecedent, right? Not only do you have to reverse it, but you also have to negate it in order to maintain the veracity or the truth value. If you're cool, you won't wear clothing. If you wear clothing with your school name on it, then you're not cool, right? Yeah. So in order to preserve the truth value, you reverse the order and reverse the and negate it, right? If you just reverse it without negating it, it does not preserve the order. So here we asked to construct a truth table for this compound statement. It looks like we have two simple statements. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a copy of this table that I created just a moment ago. I really need these items. Okay. I guess we can work with this. Let's get a copy of the compound statement. So we have this what? P or Q and not P implies Q. Okay. Okay. All right. So again, this is our column 1. This is our column 2. And then the parentheses dictate our order, right? So we start with our nested most set of parentheses, which is going to be this P or Q. So we're going to start there. Okay. So usually locks when it's vertical. There it is. What is it like when I get on the line? It jumps off. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna let P or Q be our column 3, our next column. Okay. So then OR is true. This is inclusive OR. So that means either P is true or Q is true, or they're both true. All right. So when at least one of them is true. Is at least one true? Yes. Is at least one true? Yes, yes, and then no. Okay. So next, let me copy. Let's do the not P. Okay, let me kind of give myself a little bit of space. It's about like that. Okay. So not P is going to be the opposite, because again, if we have to choose between and not, and is the more dominant connective, so that means we do the not P, we do the not first between those two. Let's see, so not P is going to be the opposite of P. So that's going to be false, false, true, true, and that's our column 4. So then now we want to consider the conjunction between columns 3 and 4. All right, we want to say column 3 and column 4. Okay, so and is true only when they're both true, right? So we ask ourselves, between columns 3 and 4, are they both true? No. Are they both true? No. Are they both true? Yes. Are they both true? No. Okay, and that was our column 5. So then our final column, we want to say column 5 implies column 2, right? So that implication. So we're saying 5 implies 2. So implication is always true except true implies false. Okay, so we're saying 5 implies 2. False implies anything is true. False implies anything is true. True implies true is true. False implies anything is true, right? So this is our first official case of what's called a tautology, right? It's a tautology because the final column is all true, has all true truth values. Okay, so we got all true in the final column, and you see it here. Okay, so then we looked at examples of the conditional statement, which is P implies Q. So now we want to see the truth table for the biconditional statement, P if and only if Q. So what the biconditional means is P implies Q and Q implies P. And so we see the truth table for the biconditional here. Okay. So some definitions of symbolic logic. Negation is a not, the tilde symbol. The negation of a statement has the opposite meaning as well as the opposite truth value from the statement. A conjunction is the case in which a conjunction is true is when both component statements are true, right? So conjunction is true only when they're both true. Disjunction or the only case in which a disjunction is false is when both components are false. In other words, if at least one of them is true, then it's true. For the conditional, it's always true except true implies false. The only case in which a conditional is false is when the first component is true and the second component is false. And then biconditional, you can kind of consider the biconditional kind of like an equal symbol. The only case in which a biconditional is true are when the component statements have the same truth value, right? So biconditional, you can kind of consider it like you're asking yourself, are the truth values equal? If they're equal, then it's true. If they're different, then it's false. Okay, determining the truth value of a compound statement. So you receive a letter that states that you have been assigned a super $1 million prize entry number, this. If your number matches the winning pre-selected number and you return the number before the deadline, you'll win, what is that, $1 million. Suppose that your number does not match the winning pre-selected number. You return the number before the deadline and only win a free issue of a magazine. Under these circumstances, can you sue the credit card company for making a false claim? Let's see. Okay. So if your number matches, right, the pre-selected number, and you return the number, okay, I'm just going to do a quick thing here. If your number matches the pre-selected number, we're going to let that be P, and you return a number before the deadline, we'll let that be our Q. Then, and it's kind of needs to be like this, you win $1 million. We'll let that be your R, right? Suppose that your number does not match. So that means we have not P. So I'm just going to, here. Actually, let's keep going. Let's do the symbols. Actually, I think we can apply the truth value, right? So our number does not match. So P is going to be what? False. Why can't I get that F? False. And you return the number before the deadline. So that's true. And only win, but you don't win $1 million. So that's a false, right? So I'll kind of work over here. False and true is false. Yeah. So now what are we missing? I think we set something up improperly. Oh, no, we're good. We're good. I think we're just interpreting the result incorrectly, right? So we got a final truth value of true, right? So what that means is that the magazine company, they honored what they said that they would do, right? We can't sue them. We just can't sue them, right? Because they honor, it's misleading and it's deceptive. This is that case of false implies anything is true, right? So we can't sue them because they didn't. It's kind of deceptive and misleading, but they didn't lie, right? I think that's how that goes. Let's see. So P is our number matches, which is false. Q is we returned it before the deadline, which we got true. And then R is we win $1 million, which is false. Duped into buying a magazine subscription. Okay, was that it? Okay. All right. So they. Oh no. Oh yeah, we got another one. So we got P and Q implies R. Finally, it's true. Our true value analysis indicates that you cannot sue the credit card company for making a false claim, right? So again, it is but our number didn't match, right? I could see if everything was true. Like if the antecedent was true and the consequences was false, our number matched and we returned it before the deadline, but we did not win the $1 million prize, then I think we would have a case. But because of the setup, again, this is one of those cases where false implies anything is true. So once the antecedent was false, then they were in the clear, right? So anywho, okay. With that, we're actually going to end the session here, and from one beautiful mind to another. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Peace. I need an outro. I can hear the music. I need an outro and a logo, an intro and outro. I need all this stuff. I guess I need to I haven't taken the time to actually sit down and create it, but I guess it's about that time. Because every time I would close out, I was like, man, I need an intro and an outro. But yeah, I'll take some time to make that at some point.